You. Hey everyone, how are you? How's everyone? Can y'all hear me okay? Hey Adizzle. Hey Chester78. Hi Jenny O, Nettie, Flavors, Ms. Maz. Hey Glim It Up. Hi everyone. You can hear me okay? Hey 906. I'm not outside today. It's pouring, so I just wanted to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Let me drop a link. Hey, cool gamer. How's everyone's Monday? Back to reality. The Monday blues. Okay. Okay. There you go, Dizzle. I'm doing good. It's sucky weather. Very sucky weather here. It's been pouring. Hey, Ro. Oh, it's like straight up pouring. Pouring. I said pouring. Pouring. Hey there, Dizzle.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I just got nervous. There's a lot of people coming. I was in Flavor's chat
Oh,
and I
don't
was
be
reminding
nervous. Did
everybody
you
that we're
fix?
gonna do this. I am.
Did we
It's gonna
fix
take a
the other
while.
thing?
It's gonna take a while because I'm gonna have to listen. I think we only mentioned it once in the beginning and once at the end, so I'm gonna check it. I'm trying to edit it in YouTube Studio, and Ambi's trying to help me, but it's not letting me edit the video in YouTube Studio. So I had to download it to my phone, and I'm gonna have to edit it with another app, and then we're gonna have to put it back up.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. We will have part one back up. I just mentioned something that's against TOS in the video, so I have to get rid of those parts, so that Jilly doesn't get in trouble or get struck or anything. So I'm editing that today, and it'll be back up, you guys. I promise. I know all of you guys
Hi,
are asking me
Jesse.
for it.
Yeah, and I know you guys also like heard the BS of everything. I decided that I ain't gonna be talking about it, responding to anyone in their lives. So just please don't mention it in the chat because I really care less about it all. I just want to move on and let go, let God. Point
Yeah,
blank. Period.
we're moving on up. We're moving on from all the bullshit.
Absolutely.
It's just
So
got way too ugly and way too weird. So,
yeah, very weird. Very, very weird.
all right. Okay, so today will be part two. I already talked about the first half, basically, of my life. In the last video, like I said, that one will be back up. So we left off where I moved to where I live now, to Madeira. So just to quick catch up for you guys, I was a runaway. I had been gone for 4 months, I think 4 or 5 months at that point, and my mom and my brothers came and rescued me from a very bad situation. I was being taunted and threatened and beaten and all that stuff by an older man that I was dating, which, by the way, I thought that he was 20 the whole time I was with him. But when I went to report him and report everything that he had done, I found out that he was 35 years old and I was 15. So, yeah, it was really disgusting. So what happened was my sister had moved out here to Madera, California, where she had rehabilitated her life. She had gotten off drugs. She was in church, super heavy. and she was on the worship team, and she had like literally changed her life completely. She was out here with her 3 kids, and so my parents decided to bring me out here because they thought that it would be better for me here. I knew too many people where I was living, and there was just too much access to drugs and bad people. So they thought moving me out here would be better. They were wrong. Um, they moved me from one meth capital of California to another, and I didn't know that at first, but I found out. So when my mom brought me up here, I got enrolled in school. I had missed probably about 2 years of schooling because I was, like I had explained in the previous part, I was at my sister's for months and months and months at a time when she had first given me meth, and so I missed all of that schooling that year. And then when I ran away, I missed more schooling. So I had to start um, in ninth grade here in high school. And I went to a school that was small. It was kind of church based. It was like the extension of the church that we were going to. It was a high school just for kids that needed maybe more. It wasn't, I don't want to say that it was like a bad kid school, because it wasn't. It was just a general high school, but it was brand new, and it was a lot of parents were sending their kids there that had previous troubles in previous schools, or gotten in fights, or had problems, because it was a smaller school and there was going to be more one-on-one with the teachers, and it was a smaller crowd, so there wouldn't be that much, fighting and violence and stuff. It was like um, it was just a little white rich kid school, basically, out here in the country. So I started going there, and I got really into church. I got really into the youth group. I thought, I had an encounter with God, and I thought, I that was the change of my life that I needed. I had not done any drugs. I had not done anything bad. I was trying to be better. I was trying to live differently. But you know, I was an addict. I am an addict. So I I end up finding what I was looking for. All this. It was like maybe a year that I was here and going to school, going to church, really heavy in the church, really getting involved in the church. All of my friends were either from school or from church. And it was so weird to me because I was so used to hanging out with older people and not kids my age. I hadn't done that in so long that having a normal high school experience with kids my age was just so weird and random to me. I did not think that that was going to happen because of what my life was on the streets before that. So I tried. I tried for about a year. I tried to be on the straight and narrow. I tried to stay away from all that stuff. I didn't even ask anybody about parties or about drugs or about anything. I really didn't. I tried to stay away. And so I made a friend, Ashley. She was like my best friend through high school. And one day after church, this is the craziest shit ever. I am an addict, but not an active addict, right? I I don't have any active addictions. I'm not super like I'm not on drugs. I do eat edibles. I smoke weed. That's not drugs to me. You can disagree all you want. To me, weed is not a drug. It is a medicine. So anyway, um, so yeah, I don't do drugs anymore. I do smoke weed. I drink every once in a blue moon. So the real hardcore in recovery people will say that I'm not clean, but I am. I'm not doing meth. I'm not doing crack. I'm not doing heroin. I'm not doing acid. I'm not doing none of that shit. So I'm not in my active addiction right now. Um, so one day after church, me and my friend Ashley, which I was hanging out a lot with her, she was the first friend that I made. We hung out all the time, and we were in church, but we still, after church, or when we were just me and her by ourselves, we talked real with each other, and we talked about things that we've done or that we wanted to do or whatever. So we were super God squad in the church, but when we left the church, we were not. This one time we left the church, and when you leave from the church, it's like a long road, and then you hit the freeway. It's like a long country road. So at the end of this long country road, this guy pulls up next to us, And he said, do you guys want to party? And I knew what that meant. She did not. I knew that meant he had meth, because that was like a quote unquote slang, or a code for saying, let's go smoke some meth together. So he said, yeah, let's go do some drugs. Let's party. That's what he was saying. And she was like, no, I don't. I'm like, yes, bitch, we're going. So follow that fucking car. I had her follow him, and we went to this guy's apartment. This guy that we had no idea, we'd never met him before, did not know. It was a random stranger. But he said party, and my fucking light bulb went on, and my fucking eyebrows were raised, and I was like, oh, got my attention. So we went there, and he pulled out crank. I had never seen crank before. I didn't even know what that was. It's probably the first form of meth that came out, but in where I was living, crystal meth was the thing. I never saw crank. It's like a powdered yellow thing that you put in the same kind of pipe that you smoke crystal meth in. Trigger warning, guys. Uh, it is like a yellow mustard looking powder stuff. And he put it in the pipe, and I hit it. My friend did not. She was like, nope, I'm good. I literally hit that thing one time, maybe two. I think twice I hit it. And I was fucking wired. Like, I was scared to hit it. I'd never seen it before, but I was like, fuck it, whatever. So I hit it twice, and I was up all night, and we were supposed to go to Yosemite the next day with her dad. And I was up all night in her house with her family. Her grandma lived there, everything. And I smoked a whole pack of cigarettes out the window because I was so twacked out. And everybody was asleep, and I didn't have a cell phone yet or anything, so it's not like I could just fucking kill time on my phone. I was literally wide awake, twacked the fuck out, in a dark house. Nobody was awake, by myself, staring at the fucking ceiling and smoking a million cigarettes out the window. That was just like probably the worst night ever. And so the next morning we did have to go to Yosemite. So we went to Yosemite. It was hot, and I was like, damn, I've been up all night. I feel like shit. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been up all night, but the next day is not very fun, especially if you don't have more drugs to counteract your fucking come down. So I was coming down and fucking didn't have any more drugs, didn't know who that guy, didn't get his phone number, didn't do any of that. I just smoked a few hits and then left. And funny thing is on the way out, we freaking she hit a parked car. She was so nervous that we were at some stranger's house doing what we were doing that we went to leave, and she fucking hit a parked car. It's hilarious. Anyway, so the next day we go to Yosemite with her dad, and I'm just fucking like dying in the back seat. I like didn't want to get out and take any pictures. I didn't want to explore anything. I was fucking dead. So that was my first experience here with any kind of drugs. So after that, my fucking the craving came back, right? So it had already been like a year since I touched the shit, and I hit it again, and then it was on a cracking again. The fucking addiction and the craving and everything was back in full force. So I started asking around, and I started going to parties, and I started fucking doing whatever I could find, honestly, on the weekends. Like, I would go to parties in the ranch, in like, we have a area in our town that's called the Ranchos. It's just like farm town and like a bunch of ranches, and a lot of rich people live there. And that's where I went to school. And so I went to school with all these rich white kids, and they had the best parties. And there always was something to do. Like, there was always a drug to do. I was dating this guy in high school. He was a senior. I was a freshman. And me and him started doing meth together. And we did it, I did it as much as I could without my sister finding out. I was living with my sister. My parents both were in Southern California. And so we started doing meth, quite often. And my sister went to a women's retreat for the church one weekend. And I had like a full blown fucking party weekend in her apartment. Their kids weren't there. It was just me. I was supposed to be working at McDonald's. I had just gotten a job at McDonald's, my first job ever. And that weekend I went and picked up my check, picked up my new uniform. They gave me a new uniform because my other one was messed up or something. And I walked out and didn't go back. And I basically just fucking partied all weekend and was smoking meth and having people over and all that shit. So the Sunday that she was supposed to come back, I went fucking crazy cleaning the house and getting rid of all evidence and getting rid of every trace that anybody was there or that we were doing anything. And I thought I did a good job. I didn't. I ended up going, we had worship practice and youth group shit to do that Sunday. And so I went to the worship practice and the youth group stuff. And then after we all hung out, all of the kids in the youth group, and we were bad. Like, we didn't hang out like at the church. We left the church and we were all like having sex and like doing drugs in between services and stuff. And so I was with my boyfriend and we were at his house and my sister called me and she fucking was livid because somebody left like a primetime wrapper. I don't know if y'all know what that is. It's like a cigarette thing. It's like a flavored thing. They left a primetime wrapper in one of the rooms. And so she saw that. And then she started going through every trash can, all my drawers, all my everything, and she found everything. She found evidence that I had smoked meth in the house. She found evidence, she had condoms, she like all kinds of shit she found, and she was fucking pissed. Um, so that was really bad. And let's take it back a little bit. I told you guys that I had a really bad relationship with my sister, right? So my sister is not, to me anyway, she's not all the way there up in her head. Something's fucking wrong because she would treat me like really like love bomb me and treat me really good. And I was taking care of her kids still, like I was before. She always left the kids with me. And even when she didn't leave the house, she would sleep all day and have me watch the kids. And so it was like I was trying to be a high school student, but I also was playing fucking Cinderella at my sister's house and being treated like crap. And like we would go to church and she would sing on the worship team and on stage. And then as soon as she would be like smiling at everybody, praise God, whatever. And then as soon as we'd get in the car and leave the fucking parking lot, she would be such a bitch to me and so mean to me. And there would be situations like I would get home from school and the kitchen would be fucking horrendous and the house is horrendous and she's asleep. And I knew that if I didn't clean up that shit and there was no evidence of any mess, even though she created the mess, um, there had to be no evidence of a mess, or else she would wake up and just be the meanest person in the world to me. And she would serve everybody dinner, but fucking fuck me, right? She would completely treat me like a redheaded stepchild, like completely like the scum of the earth. That's how she treated me a lot of the time. So anytime I could leave or go anywhere, I was fucking on it. And I was trying to fucking escape from being abused. Honestly, she was fucking abusing me. She was mentally, emotionally, and verbally abusing me for years while I was in high school and living with her. So when I turned 18, the fucking day that I turned 18, as a matter of fact, I left. I moved out. I didn't have anywhere to go, but I was done with her. We had so many fights where she was just the meanest person in the world. And like I told you guys, she was mean to me and hated me because her boyfriend molested me when I was younger, and she blamed me for it. She blamed me and said that I was a whore, I was a slut, that I was asking for it, all that shit when I was like 10, 11 years old. So she's always had this weird shit against me. So we just did not get along at all. So I left as soon as I turned 18. And I just basically was couch surfing. People in the church, friends from high school. I was just staying on people's couches, and then I really started doing meth. I actually moved in with one of my friend's moms, and she was a dealer, and so I basically would rent her living room from her. I was living there in her living room as my bedroom, and I would give her money, and I would rent the room from her, but I also would buy like lots of drugs from her. And I was working at the time at a graphics company, like a screen printing place. I ended up losing that job because I was such a piece of shit and I was hardly ever there, and I would come late and I would be on drugs, and they just knew it. And my bosses were actually my youth pastors from the church. So it got to be really fucking weird and intense because they knew I was doing drugs and they were my youth pastors and all this shit. So, so after I turned 18, I started hanging out with different groups of people. I think I was 19 when I met my first pimp. He was a guy that came around my friend group a lot to sell us, like, at this time, ecstasy was cracking, right? We call it fizz here in California. It was very popular. Everybody was doing fizz. Everybody was doing ecstasy. It was like a very big drug. So I pretty much stopped doing meth and was doing ecstasy like crazy. So I'd be over at this couple's house, and uh, this guy would come over all the time, and he always had a different girl with him, or multiple girls. He was always super swagged out, and he always had drugs, always had money, and so he like piqued my interest a little bit. I was fucking interested. I was intrigued because it just looked very like, ooh, I wonder what the fuck he's all about, because he looks like he's it, So I asked about him, and they told me that he's a pimp, and I didn't know what exactly that meant, because I just thought pimping meant cool. That's how sheltered I was as a child. Like, that's how sheltered. I didn't know that prostitution existed. I didn't know that pimps were a real thing. I didn't. I honestly thought that it was just in the movies and that it wasn't real. So they told me he was a pimp, and that more than anything piqued my interest, because I was like, what the fuck? Like, really? How the fuck? So so I kept hanging out with this couple a lot, until one night I remember doing lots of ecstasy, and I woke up in the morning, and trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. I woke up in the morning, and my bottom half was on fire. Like, it hurt really bad. And I couldn't remember shit from the night before. I don't remember any. I remembered before I took the ecstasy. I remember getting there to their house, but I don't remember anything after that. And I woke up in the morning and I was crying from the pain because my vagina hurt so bad. And I didn't remember having sex with anybody. And not to say I wasn't sexually active. I was at this time. I was having sex with people. But that night, I didn't. I don't remember that at all. So waking up with my vagina hurting was a fucking cause for concern. So I fucking left there and never went back to their house. Oh, actually, I did. I'll tell you about that later. But I left there and didn't hang out with them anymore. But I hung out with that guy. He invited me over to his house, and we sat in his living room on his couch, and he basically broke down the entire prostitution game to me. He basically told me everything. He told me all the ins and outs. He told me how to do it, where to do it, how it works, all this shit, right? He told me all of it. And he also told me that he had missed court the day before, and that he was going to be on the run, and he wanted me to go with him. And so I'm 19, and I'm fucking, like, ready to fucking tear the shit up, tear the streets up, because I was tired of being told what to do. I was tired of being abused by my sister. I was tired of pretending to be this good church girl for all this time that I had been. I was tired of it. So I was honestly ready for anything. And the lifestyle that it looked like he had was very enticing to me. It was intriguing, and it looked fun, and it looked like shit. I want to do that. So that's what I did. I fucking basically, I hooked up with him, and he took me out, on the streets the first time, on one of the tracks. That's what they're called. Sorry, I'm going to get choked up about this because it's fucking crazy. So the first time he took me out on the track, which is where the prostitutes run or walk back and forth, and get tricks and johns, I was too scared, and I didn't do anything. I was scared as fuck. So what he made me do, because I was too scared to do anything, he had a friend that he owed money to, and he forced me to be with that man that he had a debt with, so that the debt would be squashed. So he used me to do that instead of paying the money back, because I told him I was too scared to do it on the track. And that, it made me feel so ugly and so dirty and gross that, like, I was like, okay, take me to the track. I'd much rather do that than you pretend like you like me and care about me than use me as fucking, use me as a thing to you. Like, I thought that was disgusting and gross. So the next time he took me out, I started making money. I started getting into cars and making all of this money. Like, it was so easy and so fast, and so I kind of got hooked to it right away. That night that he had me out there, the first night that I actually started working, he was supposed to be in the car around the corner, just to be close, just in case anything happened. That was his. He told me that was like standard for like pimps, to be out there somewhere close to you while you're working, just in case anything were to happen. They would be right there to help or save you or whatever. So this motherfucker didn't stay there. He drove all the way across town to a terrible part of town. Mind you, he has a warrant, or several warrants. So he wasn't supposed to do any of that. But he drove all the way across town and hooked up with one of his other bitches. And they were in the car going somewhere, and they got pulled over. And so he went to jail. And there was a gun in the car. There was like all kinds of drugs. There's all kinds of shit. So he went to jail the first night that I went out to work, my pimp. So I'm sitting out there on the track for hours and hours and hours by myself. Couldn't get a hold of him. Couldn't, no, he was not answering. I couldn't find him anywhere. And I didn't really have the other girls' numbers. He had a few other bitches. I didn't have their number. I was brand new. So I didn't have anybody to call or talk to. So while I was out there waiting, I started to get scared, because at like 4 or 5 in the morning, the cops start coming around, and it's like you just stand out like a sore thumb if you're out there at that time. Like, there's no business, you have no business being on the street at that time. So they would automatically assume that you're a prostitute if you're out there at that time. So I got scared, and instead of fucking going somewhere and hiding until I could figure out what the fuck to do, I still was making money the entire night. And I was scared, but I just still kept doing it. Every time a car came by, I would do it again. So eventually, at like 6 in the morning, this girl calls me, and she's like, "Where are you at? We're coming to get you." He went to jail. We're coming to get you, though. So these two girls picked me up, and from then on, for like the next maybe year, or 9 months to a year, I hung out with these girls. They were like my besties. Like, we went everywhere together, did everything together. We lived in his house until we couldn't anymore, and we had all of his drugs. We had his house, his truck. We had the stash spots everywhere he put his drugs. Like, he put his drugs at different people's houses, so that if he was arrested or the cops came in contact with him, he wouldn't have he wouldn't have that much drugs, because he had a lot of pills. So he kept them certain places, and he told us where he kept them, so that when he went to jail, we would be able to sell it and have money to survive or whatever. So we started picking up all his drugs from all over, the town or whatever. And yeah, we were living our best lives. I honestly look back at this time of my life, and even though I was doing a terrible thing and a disgusting thing, I had the best time ever, not doing the act, but I had the best time ever just living. Like, honestly, it got to where these bitches weren't doing nothing. They weren't making any money. I was the only one making money. And they got to that place because I was excited about it. I don't know what the fuck happened, but a switch flipped. And I was addicted to that lifestyle. I was addicted to making money that fast. I was addicted to feeling wanted. I was addicted to feeling hot and sexy, because all of these guys They all think you're so hot and so sexy and they're so desperate for you. I got addicted to all of this shit. It made me feel good. It made me feel validated. It made me feel like I was a badass bitch, honestly. That's how it was for a long time. And until it got ugly, until it got to where, like, damn, these aren't even really my friends. They just want me because I'm around with money, and I'm basically feeding their fucking asses and paying all of our bills and everything. I'm doing that because I'm the one that gets up at 3, 4 in the morning and goes out on the track and makes money. I was doing all of that. They stopped as soon as the dude went to jail. They stopped doing what they were supposed to do, and I did everything. There was a few times where they gave me the pills and I would go to, like, I told you guys I went to a rich white high school. I went to those people's parties and I would give the pills out to everybody. I wouldn't even sell them. I was just giving them out because I walked in that fucking place like I was the shit. I had a bag full of fucking drugs that everybody wanted. I had money. I was liked in high school, but at this point I'm walking into a party with all the people I went to high school with, and I got it made, basically, compared to everybody else. I got that shit, and everybody was looking at me and treating me like I was a badass bitch. So it felt amazing. It felt amazing, and they would pick me up in the morning, and I wouldn't have any pills left and no money to show for it, and I'd just be like, just fucking drive. I had a good time. I was giving all my friends pills for free. So yeah, it was fucking really fun for a while. As a matter of fact, that one, the couple that I told you guys about just a few minutes ago that I was staying at, and then I woke up and my bottom half was hurting. That couple, they called me one time to get some pills from me because they were used to getting them from the dude that I was with, but he was in jail. So they knew I had it. They called me over, but I remembered them talking about situations where they robbed people, and they were grimy. I could tell they were grimy. And so when they called me and asked me to come serve them some pills, I knew that they were going to try some fuck shit. So I went over there with a big ass kitchen knife in my back pocket, and they were like, "What the fuck, Amanda, what are you doing?" Like, I'm like, "Yeah, don't fucking try me. Don't try me because I'll fucking cut you." And I knew that they were planning to do some shit because some random ass bitch walked out from the back room and she had something in her hand, and because I had that big ass kitchen knife in my hand now, I was like, you might want to fucking chill out because you might kill me or hurt me, but I'm gonna cut a few of you motherfuckers on the way, just so you know. So I served them their pills and I walked away, and I was like, don't ever call me again, because I knew that they were going to rob me. That's just how people are in the streets. Like that lifestyle, it's so much fake love and so much fake fucking everything. Like, people will be so nice to you in your face, and then they will literally kill you behind your back. Like, they will literally plot to kill you. That's how people are out here. So So after he went to jail and I'm out there hooking, I'm now with a new group of people. I had moved on from those other bitches, and I went to another group of people that was just sucking me dry and using me for every penny that I had, and basically money from my vagina. They were living off of my vagina. So I started hanging out with these other people. I met this guy. He wasn't my pimp. He ended up trying to be, but I was staying in this house with other girls now that were basically, like I said, sucking me dry. And he said, look, we got to get you out of here and get you away from them because they're taking everything from you. And I didn't realize that at the time he wanted me away from them so he could take everything from me. So my dumbass thought I was like in love or, whatever with this guy. And I let him take me from that place and put me in a motel. And he introduced me to his bitch that he had been with for 8 years that I had no idea about. I didn't know that this was going to be like a sister wives thing, but it was. And from the first day that he took me out of that house, he was beating the shit out of his girlfriend every fucking day. Like, I'm talking about from the moment I woke up till when I went to sleep. That man was putting his hands on this woman every fucking day. And he didn't put his hands on me but he made sure that I saw and witnessed him beating the shit out of this girl all the time so that I wouldn't fuck up or do the things that she was doing. But looking back, like, she wasn't even doing anything really that was that wrong. Like, he would just flip out on her for no reason. So I stayed with them for a while. I stayed with him for a while until one night he woke me up out of my sleep and made me go out there on the track. And I was half asleep. And normally I wouldn't have no problem. Like I said, I was like addicted to that shit. And y'all can judge me all you want, but you don't fucking understand. Okay, we'll just put it like that. I was addicted to making money fast. I was. So normally it would be fine, but he woke me up out of my sleep at a weird ass time and made me get up and go out there to sell my body so that he can make some money, which we already had money, but I don't know what the fuck was up his ass this day. He just was tripping. So I did it. I got up and went out there, and the first car that came to pick me up, I looked at the car. It was kind of like an old rich white man's car. For some reason, I did not think that it was a black man in there. And one of the rules to doing this shit is you don't get in the car with black men. And I know that sounds racist, but it's not. It's because the majority of the black men that are out there are pimps, and they will fucking hurt you, and they will traffic you, and they will fucking rape you, and they will take your money. They will gorilla you. They will take you from where you're at and put you somewhere else, and you will be in a completely different situation than you already were. I was already in a bad situation, but if I were to get in the car with a black guy and he was a pimp and he took me, it would have been 1,000 times worse situation. So I get in the car, and I didn't even realize. I looked over, and it was a black guy. And by the time I realized it, we were already gone on the freeway. And so I'm like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Why are you leaving? You know, I have to stay right here. And he's like, no, I know a spot up here. I know a spot up here. I'm like, okay. And we stopped at a gas station, and he's like, I'm going to get some condoms. And I'm like, okay. So he got some condoms, and then he takes me to like this fucking terrible neighborhood in like on the west side. It's just like the worst neighborhood that you could go to in Fresno. And on one of these back streets, and he pulled a gun on me, and he put it in my face, and he was like, give me everything that you got. I didn't have anything because I just went out there. I just had gotten out there. Gorilla means like hardcore pimp. A pimp that beats his women, and that basically pimps out of fear and intimidation and stuff. That's what a gorilla pimp is. It's because there are pimps that are nice and that, you know, love you and care for you, and they're just basically there. They're like partners with you, or they're like your security, or they're your backup. But there are pimps that are fucking disgusting and mean and dirty, and they will beat the shit out of you. They're called gorillas. So he pulls a gun on me, puts it in my face, like directly in my cheek, to where my cheek touched my teeth. So the front of the gun was like pushed up to my face, and my cheek was touching my teeth. So I was like, I don't have anything. I just got out there. I haven't done any calls, or I haven't done any cars yet. Like, I haven't seen anybody yet, so I have nothing. He made me. That's not true. There are pimps that love you, just so you're aware. I don't know if you have ever been with a pimp, but there are pimps that love you. So maybe don't say that if you don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, that's rude, but seriously. I don't like it when people assume what they think from TV. I'm telling you from real life experience that there are pimps that love you. So there's that. So he puts the gun in my face. He makes me give him my phone. He took the battery out, and as he still has the gun in my face, he makes me get in the back of the car. And shit, this is hard.
You can take a break. I just put in chat. I wasn't aware that pimps love you either. So it probably
It's
was
just
just like
it's just a word. A pimp is just like, that's just a word to describe somebody. So a pimp is basically somebody, a guy or whatever. It could be a girl that facilitates and helps you sell your body. Okay?
Yeah.
So I've known people that are married that the husband is her pimp, but they're married and they love each other very much, and he doesn't make her do anything that she doesn't want to do. So
Yeah, but still, I wouldn't
that's
call
my
that love
experience.
either. Everybody just has a different opinion of it. I mean,
Well, I
I
mean,
wouldn't call it
there's
love either.
bitches that want to do this shit. It's not just a man making them do it. That's not always the case. It's a lot of bitches out here that want to do this shit. So
Right.
it's not like not every pimp is necessarily bad. I know that might
Yeah.
not make sense to everybody, but it's not like that across the board. That's what the movies and TV and everybody else makes you think, but that's not how it is really. Anyway, so he makes me get in the back of the car and essentially holds a gun to my face and made me do some things to him. And I think that he got scared in the middle of it. I don't know why, he got spooked or something. Um, and he like basically pushed me off of him. He hit me with the gun and told me to get in the front seat. And he took me back to where he got me from, which was the weirdest fucking thing ever. I can't even explain it. I don't know why he did that, but he did. He gave me my phone back as soon as I got out of the car and he sped off. I don't know why he took me and then brought me back to where I was. That was just weird to me, but he did. And so I was unavailable and didn't have my phone for a while. So the dude that I was with and the girl were trying to get a hold of me, trying to find me, and they couldn't. So when they did, and I finally got, and I was able to call them or text them and tell them, if you call them pimps and I'm appalled, they say they love you. It's different situations. If you've been trafficked, I've been in the trenches, and if you call them pimps, I am appalled, you say they love you. I'm not saying they love me. I'm saying there are situations where there's a pimp that loves his girl. I've met tons of them. It's not always that. Like, it's not always a pimp beating the girl and making her do this shit. That's not always the case. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to argue with anybody. Um, so yeah, he puts me back, and I end up getting a hold of of my people, and they did not believe me at all. They did not believe me. They thought that I was giving my money to somebody else. They thought that I was seeing another pimp, and I was giving my money to him. So they beat me up. Well, actually, he had her beat me up. He basically watched and directed her as she beat the shit out of me. So they left. I don't know where they went. They ended up leaving. And while they were gone, I called my old youth pastor and I got all my stuff and I told him to come get me because I thought I was going to die.
Take a break.
So I was pretty convinced that if I stayed there, that I was going to end up dead. And I was so scared from the night before having a gun in my face and then getting the shit beat out of me for no fucking reason. So I had my youth pastor pick me up and he took me to my dad's house. And I had to walk into my dad's house. My dad, that's a pastor and a man of God and an amazing person and my hero. I had to walk into his house with stilettos and wigs and fucking whore clothes. And I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed of myself in that moment. I was so ashamed for my dad to think of me that way. It was really sad. So I stayed with my parents for a few days and then went to my sister's and stayed with my sisters. I didn't even stay with my sister for a full night. I ended up having them pick me up in the middle of the night. I don't know why. I don't know why I went back there. I was at home for maybe a week, and while I was at home a few times, I had called the guy that had the girl beat me up, that guy, hit one of his friends, and he picked me up, and we had sex. And we had sex one time. I mean, no, it was multiple times, but it was one day where we were sexually intimate, and I got pregnant. So, and before I even knew I was pregnant, I ended up going back to the other dude. So, I was with, I got pregnant by his best friend, and then I moved back in with him. And actually, I ended up getting my own apartment in Fresno, and he moved in with me there. But I wasn't around that girl anymore. She had her own apartment, and I had my own, and I was still working, but I was working through a service, like a call service, so I wasn't walking anymore on the streets. It was like basically what is it called? An escort, like an in-home escort, or whatever, in-home prostitute, whatever. So, call girl. Yeah, a call girl, basically. So I ended up finding out about this lady that ran ads, and the first day that I worked for her, I made like $5,000 in just a few hours. So it was like way safer and way more money to do it that way than going out on the street. So I was working until I was like 6 months pregnant. Actually, I think I was like 7 or 8 months pregnant. And so the dude, he knew, obviously I told him that I was pregnant by his best friend, and he acted like it wasn't a big deal, but there were, times where he definitely fucking let me know that he was bothered by it. But still had never put his hands on me. Still had never done that. He had gotten really close to it, but he had never put his hands on me. He did have that other girl do it that one time, but he never did. So one night he comes in and I'm asleep, and I'm like 7 months pregnant, like huge. And the first day, actually, I had not given him keys to my apartment for months because I was scared of this very thing. I kept making excuses like, oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I haven't gotten a key yet. Oh, I haven't. The day that I got a key made for him, for this motherfucker, he comes into my apartment. He's drunk as fuck. And apparently some hater bitch told him that I was smoking meth while I was pregnant. I never did that. That did not happen. But she was a hater, and she did not like me, and she liked him, and she didn't understand why he had like this special place in his heart for me. I don't know. I don't know the fucking reason, but she told him that she saw me physically smoking meth while I was pregnant. So he came in drunk as fuck and beat the shit out of me. Like, bad. And I kept trying to get away, and I ended up getting outside, like down the stairs from my apartment, and he grabbed me by my neck and was choking me and literally lifting me up to the heavens, like with his fucking just one arm. And he was choking me. He was choking me until I couldn't breathe anymore, until I got like lightheaded and dizzy. And something happened in the neighborhood. Like, I think he heard a siren or somebody closed their door really loud or something, and he got spooked and dropped me. And with how long he was choking me, I should have been dizzy. I should have not been able to run away, but I fucking fell on my feet and I fucking ran like crazy. And I ran to one of the neighbors' apartments, and they had heard everything, and they were like, oh my God, are you okay? And they locked me in there, and he ended up leaving. And I left my apartment that next day. I left everything in it. Everything. And I moved back with my family. And I stayed with my family until I had the baby. And after I had the baby, I had my son, Isaiah. And I was doing really good for a long time. I mean, I was doing church again. I didn't talk to any of those people anymore. And I don't know what it is, but like for a long time, every year or every couple of years or whatever, I would just get this fucking urge to leave and run away and be fucking disappeared. And I thought that the only thing I was good for was selling my body. That was the only thing I was ever good at. So my son was about 2. He was 2, and that man came back around, and he was sending me messages and begging me to forgive him, and he's sorry. And my dumbass fucking believed him. And I left my dad's house on Father's Day with a note on the fridge, just like I did when I was 15 years old. So he came home from church to a note on the fridge that saying that I was leaving, or that I left, and I had Isaiah with me. And so I dipped out. I disappeared. He picked me up, and we drove to fucking Phoenix, Arizona, where he was staying with another girl that he beat up every single day in front of me and in front of my son. So there was this rapper that I loved, and it was like freaking, I loved his music, and it was actually the music that my first pimp had showed me, and basically he taught me about the game through this music, because this music was all about pimping and hoeing and all that shit. So this rapper, I actually, in a desperate moment, because I needed to get out of there, because he was beating up this girl every day in front of my baby, and I was afraid that he was going to hurt me or Isaiah. So in a desperate moment, I sent this rapper a message on MySpace, and he responded immediately. And then he called me, and we coordinated a plan for him to come pick me up and pick up Isaiah. So he came from Las Vegas, and he picked me and Isaiah up and took me to Vegas. And I started working in Vegas with my son around. Well, honestly, he didn't let me keep my son around. This was the worst part of all of this shit, is that he had me take my son to a babysitter that I did not know. And my kids have never been watched by anybody but people in our family. And my son at the time, he didn't know anything other than our family and church. That's all he ever knew. So dropping him off at this fucking random lady's fucking house was like the worst thing ever. And like every single time I was working or doing whatever, and he was at this person's house, I would be so sad and worried about him, because he didn't know her, and it just felt ugly and gross. So eventually I was like, look, I got to take my baby back. Like, I got to take him back, give him to my parents, because I don't want him here. So I took him back and acted like I was going to stay with my family, but I ended up leaving in the middle of the night like an asshole. And I went back to Vegas to be with this rapper and his 10 bitches at the time. And we traveled a lot, and we went to a lot of different events with rappers and stuff, and we were all making money. And while we were in Hollywood for like a Too Short event or something, him and I had unprotected sex, and I got pregnant with my daughter. And as soon as I showed signs of being pregnant, like, I could not stop throwing up. Like, every day I was throwing up, and I couldn't hide it. And we were traveling a lot in airplanes, and I was throwing up so much because of the fucking being up in the air and giving me a headache in my ears, and everything was just making me so sick. So he noticed, and the girls started to notice too, and they started treating me so bad. They were treating me so bad, and he basically told me, like, when we get back to Vegas, you're going to go see a doctor, and you're going to have an abortion. And he pretty much threatened that if I didn't have an abortion, that he would make me lose the baby. And he had never hit me before, but I know that he had hit other girls. And so I was scared. And thank God that one of my mom's friends lived in Las Vegas. And I sent her a message on Facebook. And I dipped out of the hotel room and went to the downstairs lobby in the bathroom. And I hid in the stall until she picked me up, because I knew that he was going to try to kill me or my baby, and I wasn't going to have an abortion, because I don't fucking believe in that shit. So I hid. I left all my shit and I just hid in the bathroom and waited for her to come get me. And it was like she was somewhere far away. She wasn't at home at the time. So it was like 2 hours I was waiting in the stall. And I was afraid that any moment, like, he was going to come in the bathroom or one of the girls was going to come in the bathroom looking for me. So I was fucking shaking the entire time. And while I was in Vegas on July 4th, I got arrested for prostitution. So if anybody pulls up my background, that's going to be on there. I was in jail for the whole weekend. It's only supposed to be 24 hours for your first offense in Las Vegas. But because it was July 4th, they were backed up and I was being booked for like 2 days, almost like 2.5 days. So I was there for like fucking all weekend. It was terrible. And my son was with the babysitter this whole time. That was before I took my son back. So I did already go to jail for him. And so my mom's friend picks me up. I'm pregnant. I stay with her for a few days, and then she sends me back to my family. And I stayed with my family, I don't know, for like another year. And then I left again. And I started doing the same shit again with both of my babies with my parents. I just fucking took off and started doing all that shit again. And I met Jeremy's dad on he basically was looking for a prostitute, and he texted my phone that was for that purpose, and he asked me if I wanted to party on some meth shit. I hadn't done meth in a long time, and I was like, yep, I do. So I fucking went to his house and smoked a bunch of meth, and I never left. That's the story of me and Jeremy's dad. Is I basically went to his house on a call and never left. He showered me with money. He showered me with gifts. He let me drive his car. I had all the meth that I could ever fucking want in the world. It was all there. But about 3 months into our relationship, when the whole time he was like, you're so beautiful. I can't believe I'm with you. I don't deserve you. Like, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever had. And he just basically gave off this vibe that, like, I'm the best thing to ever happen to him, right? So I never thought in a million years that he would be cheating on me. But the whole entire time he was, and he was cheating on me with crack whores and fucking $20 hookers and fucking just terrible fucking bitches that are disgusting. And I found out all of it, and he still continued. Like, the whole time I was pregnant, I stopped doing meth, obviously, because I was pregnant. He said he was going to stop. He never did. He was doing it the whole time, and he was fucking bitches the whole time. So I ended up leaving him. And so after I had the baby, after I had Jeremy, I started doing meth again because I found out that he was doing it. And I wasn't breastfeeding anymore, so I started doing it again. And he was doing it. I know he was doing it because he had been doing it the whole time. And there was a time when I left him, and he followed me, and he found me at a hotel, and he was trying to make it work with me and trying to bring me back. And while we were in this hotel, it was me and him and Jeremy. He invited one of his drug dealer friends over, and they left an open bag of meth on the mini fridge. And I was on the phone, and I come back in the room after being on the phone, and Jeremy was like a year old, if that. I came back from being on the phone, and my baby was like, he was crying and holding his stomach, and he's like shaking. He was like shaking and holding his stomach, and I'm like trying to figure out what's going on, what happened, what's going on with him. And I happened to look over, and the fucking bag of meth is just sitting there. It's open, and there's shit everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? So my baby had ingested meth. And mind you, at this time, me and his dad were both on drugs. Like, we both were clearly on meth. And he's like, okay, let's go in the car. Let's take him to the hospital. When we get to the hospital, he says, I'm going to take him in there because if they're going to take him away from me, I want you to be able to come pick him up. So that made sense at the time. I thought he was going to do that, but of course he didn't. He's a piece of shit, fucking lying asshole. So he gets in there and he tells the doctor, after they tested the baby, after they figured out that he had ingested meth, all that, he said, well, his mom left me and she's been staying at these fucking hotels and he was just with his mom over the weekend. So he basically blamed it on me. And then I had a CPS case and all that shit. And so after I left him for good, I could never be around the baby, or I couldn't take him with me because he always held that over my head. He was like, I'm going to call CPS, tell him that you kidnapped the baby. You're not allowed to be around him, all that shit. So I was on the streets. At this point, my dad had died recently. Like, I left him. I left Jose. And my dad died. And so I started slamming dope with a needle. Like, before I was smoking it, snorting it if I had to or whatever, but I started slamming it with a needle. And it got so out of hand and so crazy. I was slamming dope like 100 times a day. So there would be times where, like, I would come back to the house where my baby and Jose were, and I would come visit. And mind you, all this time, I'm still seeing my kids. Like, I didn't stop seeing my kids. I still was in their life. I still was seeing them. They remembered me. I still had a relationship with them. I didn't see them as much as I should have, and I wasn't living with them, but I did see them. So I was living on the streets, and I would come to the house where my baby daddy was and where Jeremy was to get clean for a few days, or oh god, I would get clean for a few days, or just spend time with the baby, or sleep, or eat, just like normal things. I would get off the streets for a while. He'd let me take a shower and stuff, and then and then it got to be really ugly and weird, and he raped me one time, and so I said I wasn't going to come back anymore because he forced himself on me and wouldn't let me get up and stuff. But I missed my baby so much that I couldn't stay away for long. I just loved him and I missed him so much, and it didn't matter like how much drugs I was doing. It didn't numb me anymore. The pain was still there. So I started going back over there more, just for a few days at a time. And so I noticed that he had rented our house out, not rented it, but he had moved all these guys into our house, and he was living in like a little shack next to his mom's house because he had a weed farm growing, and they were like his cultivators and his trimmers and stuff, and they were just random guys. I'd never met them before. I'd never seen them before. I had no idea where he even met these people, but everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie. So when he would tell me things, I just wouldn't even fucking listen. So he had all these people around. I remember meeting a few of them. There was this one guy that was watching Jeremy one day, and he seemed like he was off a little bit, and he obviously was on meth. They all were. So I got mad at my baby daddy and was like, what the fuck? Like, why are you letting this person watch my child? He's not even all the way there. He's on drugs. I know he is. And he said, yeah, he's mentally slow. Like, there's something, wrong up there, but he's a good guy. He's really great with him, blah, 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 blah. So, it was like October 5th, my son's birthday, not Jeremy's birthday, Isaiah's birthday. So I told my baby daddy, I said, hey, I want to take Jeremy to go see his brother for his birthday. He argued with me all day about it, and so I didn't end up going to see Isaiah for his birthday. I remember going to sleep with the baby in my arms, and Jose, my baby daddy, was there when I went to sleep. When I woke up, he was there. Okay, so I left, came back another time. It was like a couple weeks later, and I woke up to the loudest bang and the loudest sounds coming from outside. We were being raided by police. And not raided, they were knocking on the outside, but they were using like a loudspeaker and all kinds of shit. They were trying to get everybody out of the house. And so I'm waking up to this noise, and I come out, and my baby daddy's in handcuffs, and he's like, don't worry about it. Everything's mine. You're not going to be in trouble. This is about the weed. It's okay. Don't trip. Just go sit down. This is all mine. None of you guys have to worry about any of this. I'll take the blame for everything. So he was basically saying that it was about the weed farm, but I looked at the cops, and they were from different towns. They weren't from our county. So I was like, what the fuck? Why are they here for your weed farm, and they're not even in the same county? That was so fucking weird to me. And so I'm sitting there waiting, and they're still trying to get one guy to come out of the house. The guy would not come out of the house. And so my baby daddy's like asking everybody, like, why isn't he coming out of the house? Why isn't he coming out of the house? And they're like, I don't know. He won't come out of his room. I don't know. So the cops were steady trying to get this motherfucker out. And so one of the cops pulls me out of the back seat, and he asks me, when's the last time you seen Jesus? And that was the guy that was not all the way there, that was watching my kid a few weeks beforehand, that my baby daddy told me was not all the way there. And the day before, or I don't know if it was the day before or a week before, I don't remember, but at some point, my baby daddy, out of nowhere, which I didn't even ask about it, he said, hey, Jesus left in the middle of the night last night. And I was like, what do you mean he left? Like, yeah, he left with some bitches. Like, they came and picked him up. And I was like, that's weird. Because what he had told me was that all of these guys were from a different town. So I was like, how does he even know bitches in this town? I don't understand. But I didn't care at all. I did not care. It kind of was weird to me that he volunteered that information and I didn't even ask. So it was weird to me, but I didn't think nothing of it. So the cop pulls me out of the back seat of the car, and he is like, we're here about, I think they called him Jesse. We're here about Jesse, Jesus. And I was like, I don't know where he is. I have no idea what you're talking about. And I quickly found out that they were there on a murder investigation, not about no fucking weed. It was a full-blown homicide investigation. And so this motherfucker wasn't coming out the house. So what they ended up doing was taking us to a field nearby and setting up this whole like operations fucking point where there were, I'm talking about Fresno County Sheriff, Fresno PD, Kings County Sheriff, Kings County PD, Madera. There was like all of our surrounding little towns. There was law enforcement from everybody. And I was like, what the fuck? And it just kept building and building and building. You guys, I was involved in a standoff for 12 hours. This motherfucker didn't come out the house for 12 hours until they got a warrant and went in there and got him. And so I ended up finding out that Jesse was dead. They had found his body in a vineyard somewhere. It had been burned, half burned. And I had no idea. I didn't know anything about it, right? So they end up searching the house. They tore the house up from fucking, like, it was tore back. And my keys to my car, my car was sitting right in front of the front door. Like, I had drove it onto the yard and sat it right in front of the front door, and my keys were in the house. So they ended up taking dude to jail. They didn't take anybody else to jail. They searched the house. They had like a dog sniffing the trunk of my baby daddy's car. And, they did all that shit. They were there until like late that night. And my baby daddy came back and went to sleep. We went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, I need to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. So I went into that house, found my keys, and fucking dipped. I didn't, thank you so much, Gotti girl. Thank you for the Cash App. Thank you so much. I ended up going and getting my keys and leaving, and I didn't do meth anymore. The night before, I believe, the night before the raid was the last time I did meth. So I think, or it was that morning. I don't remember. It was that day though. That was the last time and it was actually my dad's birthday, which is so fucking weird. October 15th was the last day I did meth, and that was when my dad's birthday was. So I ended up leaving, and he called me a few days later and was like, the cops want to talk to me some more. I'm going to go meet with them at the house. And when I'm done, I'm going to bring Jeremy to you, and I want you to spend a few days with him. And I was like, what? Okay, you're going to let him stay with me for a few days? Okay, that's fucking cool, whatever. So I'm waiting all day, right? All fucking day. So hours pass, and I'm like, okay, something's fucking wrong. Something is not right. And then I start getting fucking phone calls on my phone from like my baby daddy's sister, from the cops that were there, and his sister was in the background saying, I know she had something to do with it. My brother was never like this before he met that white bitch. She fucking killed him. She has something to do with it. Like, she was basically telling the cops that there's no way that her brother was involved with this unless I was involved with it too, which couldn't be further from the truth. So the cops got on the phone and were like, okay, we need to see you tomorrow. Like, you need to be here tomorrow. They were talking about at the police station. So I called my stepmom and I was like, oh my God, we have to go to the police station. You have to come with me. And it was in an outside town. It wasn't in our town because the murder or the body was discovered in another town, in another county. So it wasn't anything local. We had to drive there. I was fucking freaking out, you guys, the whole entire time. I was freaking out because I had no idea about any of this shit, but I didn't know why they wanted to question me. Like, why? I have no idea. So I'm in the interrogation room and they're asking me all kinds of questions, and a lot of shit that I had no idea about, Mexican mafia shit, fucking money in Mexico that they're hiding from the government. Like, all this shit was coming out about my baby daddy and his family. And they kept asking me questions and I'm like, look, I can tell you what he told me, but I'm telling you he's a liar. So I didn't hardly listen or believe anything that he said because he's a fucking liar. So I can tell you what he said about this and that, but it's not, I don't know how valid it'll be. So they finally get to the question, okay, where were you October 5th, that evening? And I told him, I said, I was at my baby daddy's house. I was at my baby daddy's house and we slept there and we woke up and they asked me, okay, well, when I said I was at that house that day or that night, they both fucking, I'm telling you right now, guys, the fucking mood in that interrogation room and the vibe and the fucking air switched so fucking fast. It was so weird. Like, the sheriff pushed his chair back and looked at the other fucking officer in the room and was like blown away by what I just said. And they were like, okay, hold on. Wait a minute. You're telling me that you were there the night this man was killed. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see anybody get killed. Like, no. I'm telling you where I was because I know exactly where I was, but I don't know anything about that. And they were like, well, there was blood all over the bathroom. And I said, okay, did you test the blood? Because at that time I was slamming dope, and a lot of times if you don't find a vein or whatever, you're bleeding all over the fucking place. I said, look, that could be my fucking blood on the floor. I was telling them, like, look at my arms. I got track marks all over my arms. I'm fucking addict, like I was doing meth at that time. It could be my blood. And they were like, no, it's not your blood. They were like, so I'm having a problem with you telling me that you were there in this house when this man was murdered and you didn't see anything. And I was like, look, I fucking swear that I went to sleep and that man was there. And when I woke up, he was there again. I'm talking about my baby daddy. I remember specifically that day because I do have a terrible memory and I was on drugs for a long time. So my memory's shot. So I don't remember lots of things, but I remembered that specifically because it was my son's birthday. And we fought all day about me taking Jeremy to go see my son for his birthday. So I remembered it specifically. And so they're like, okay. I told them more detail about the fight and how we were talking about the the birthday and all that shit. And then they showed me a picture and they wanted me to tell them what it was or whatever, if I recognized it. And it was a picture of, I had like a box full of decorative um, fucking duct tape. That was like a thing back then. I was so obsessed with duct tape with different designs on it and all the colorful shit. Like I had a shoebox full of decorative duct tape. Okay, so when they showed me the picture, it was a piece of my duct tape on something. I couldn't tell what it was. And I said, well, it looks like my tape. And they said, can you tell me about your tape? And I told them, I had this box full of fucking duct tape. I like it. It's like a hobby of mine. I said, but that one, that's not duct tape material. So I didn't like it. It was like some cheetah print blue shit, but it was like a packing tape and I didn't like the material. So I used it to decorate my box and then my box of duct tape. And then I left it there. And the last I seen, they were like wrapping bongs with it and shit. They were like making bongs with the fucking tape. That's the last I seen of it. So apparently they fucking wrapped this man in my fucking tape and burned him. Man. And burned him while he was still alive. So
he was autistic.
Yeah, he was autistic. So they burned him to death, or he was still alive when they burned him. I guess they thought that he was dead, and they tried to burn the body to get rid of it, but he was still alive when they burned him. So I told them about the tape. I was very detailed, and they kind of like, the mood changed again. They were like, okay, well, if we have any other questions, we'll let you know. It was just like very weird. Like it went from very tense to like, all right, lighthearted and whatever. So me and my stepmom, they talked to my stepmom for a few minutes. And then me and my stepmom are walking out to my car. And before we get to my car, there's like 3 patrol cars come fucking zooming out at us like super fast. I'm like, oh my God, Norma, I'm going to jail. I'm telling my stepmom I'm going to fucking prison for not doing anything. I didn't do anything, but they're going to fucking take me to jail because that's how it looked. It looked like they were coming in for some shit. And so they zoom up to us and they were like, hey, do you think we can get that box? And I was like, what? The box with your duct tape on it or that decorative tape around it, can we have that for evidence or can we take a picture of it? I said, fucking take it. They gave me a brand new box, a white box, and they're like, here, you can decorate the shit out of this one. And I was like, oh my God, you just want the box? Here, fucking take that shit. Take it. So I gave them the box. I guess they used it for evidence or whatever. They told me that they were going to keep in contact with me and they were probably going to ask me for more questions, and they never did. They never called me back. And so he ended up going to prison for 11 years. He probably snitched because how else would he have gotten out that fucking fast for that? I'm telling you what, guys, when this happened, in the midst of all of it, I tried to go pick up my child from where he left my child, and they wouldn't let me because they said, don't you have a drug problem? The sheriff said, you have a drug problem, don't you? And this was the first time, guys, in my life that I was ever honest. And I could have said no because I was clean at that time. I hadn't touched any drugs in days, so I could have tested clean. I could have said no and got out of it. But I was very fucking honest, and I said, yes, I do. I have a problem. I need help. He said, well, since you just admitted that to me, I can't give you your son today. But we can try to help you get back on the right track and get your son back. And that was like the beginning of like my life changing. So I had to go through the process of like CPS, and they give you all these things that you have to do. You obviously have to drug test randomly. So what would happen is I'd have to call this place in the morning, and if they said your number or your color, then you'd have to drive into town and get tested. So it was like totally random. There was no way of ever knowing when you were gonna have to test. So if I wanted to do drugs, I wouldn't be able to. I didn't. I was fucking done, by the way. I was completely done. So I tested clean. And they gave you some other shit to go off of too. Like you have to do parenting classes. You have to do so many NA meetings a week. You have to do an outpatient program. So I did all of that. And they give you, in the state of California, they give you 6 months. 6 fucking months. If your child is 2 or younger, they only give you 6 months to get it right before you can get your kid back. If you don't get it right in 6 months, you lose your kid to adoption. So, because they fucking want babies in California. That's just what it is. It's a fucking business, I swear. So I had to do all that shit, and I had 6 months, like I said. I ended up getting him back in less than 6 months because I kicked ass. I kicked my program's ass. I tested clean all the time. I went to 1,000,000 NA meetings a day. They suggest 90 meetings in 90 days. I did way more than that because I fell in love with the program and the community and everything, and it just changed my life so dramatically. I made so many amazing friends. I learned so much about myself and about addiction and how to fucking stay clean, and it was like everything that I didn't know I needed all in one thing. And I was addicted to that. My addiction shifted from wanting to go fucking sell my body on the streets and wanting to do drugs to wanting to be better for my kids. I wanted to be better for my kids. I even tried, they said, you have to do inpatient rehab or you're not going to get your kid back. But I had just gotten back from being gone from my other kids, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go to a fucking 9-month rehab center or a year rehab center and not see my kids. No, that's not happening. And so they tried to tell me that that was the wrong thing to do and that I was not going to get him back. Well, I proved all of them fucking wrong. I proved every single fucking one of them wrong. In record time. They had never seen anybody fucking change their life that fast. Ever. But it was because I was done and I did not want to lose my baby forever. I felt so terrible for what I had already put him through and my other kids and shit. I was just done. I did not want to mess up anymore. I just wanted to be a good mom. So they ended up telling me, like, the caseworkers and stuff with CPS, when I got Jeremy back, they said, you don't have to worry about his dad. Because I was scared that he was gonna come and pick him up when he gets out of jail, and they would tell me, no, don't even worry about it. He ain't ever getting out. Yeah. Or they would tell me if he does get out, there's no judge in California that's gonna give him what is it called? Custody over you. And if he does see his son, it's gonna have to be supervised, right? They told me all that shit, right? Because they said, look, he's got torture in his fucking charges. Torture, because that man burned somebody alive. And I said, okay, cool, so I'm not worried about it. Here we fucking are 11 years later, and guess what? The man has him every other weekend. Now he's spending the night every other weekend. He's a piece of shit. Anyway, yeah, so that's when I changed my life completely over that. And I don't even know what else to say. I mean, after that, I mean, I met my husband. Funny story, I met him and he was with this redheaded chick at the time. Or he wasn't with anybody, but I freaking hit on him. And what did you do? What did you do? What? He curved me. He was like, nope, swerve. I'm with this other bitch now. I'm not with you, whatever. So I hated him for a long time. He didn't want me. I thought he didn't want me. So I just moved on. Tell him the case. I moved on. I don't want to look like an asshole. It wasn't the case because we had another friend in our group that liked me, and he told him basically, that's mine or whatever, which it wasn't at all. It wasn't at all. We weren't dating at all, but whatever. Started doing music with a couple of my best friends, recovery music. Really had a really great couple of years, just being clean and feeling all my feelings clean and not numbing every time I'm hurt or upset. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was fucking hard. It was hard, but there was no option. Like, I was not going to go back. I'm not going back there. Like, I'm not. I fucking, there's so many times where I had to tell myself, like, you are not running away. That's all you've ever done your whole life, and you're not going to fucking run away. And that has, honestly, um,
What happened? Uh-oh. Let me drop her a link again. I'm like, I can't even talk over here. Damn. Shit. Whew. Adizzle, I just dropped the link again.
oh shit.
There you go. Oh, where'd she go? Damn. Very heavy. Yeah, I'm so proud of her.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what you guys heard last.
I don't know, because I'm a mess over here.
Aw, I'm sorry.
No. I'm just
So,
really proud of you.
NA really changed my life. We started doing lots of conventions and concerts and shit. And this whole time, I I met a guy in when I was working at a church. One of the seasons where I was super into church and super God Squad. It was after I had Olivia, my daughter. So it was after the Vegas stuff. I was working at this church. I was a assistant to a director of an organization, and I met this man at the church that I was working at, and he was a worship leader and a youth leader. And my whole life, um, I was prophesied over that I was going to be in ministry, that I was going to be a youth pastor, that I was going to be a pastor of my own church one day with my husband. And so when I met this guy, I thought, oh my God, this is God. This is my destiny. This is my man. Like, this is who I'm supposed to marry, right? He was everything that I wanted, everything that I thought I needed. And basically over a 10-year span, he played with me. He played with me over and over and over and over again. I mean, he would date me and then he would go get married. Like, what the fuck? Like, out of nowhere. Like, we had just spent the night together the night before, and the next morning I'm fucking learning that he just got married. What the fuck? Like, all kinds of heartbreak, like, over and over and over with this man, right? So damn, I had been clean for years, and I lost my job. It was me and Jeremy at the time, because my older kids were with my stepmom for that year. I think we've taken turns. Like, they've gone to school with her, and then they've come over here with me. Like, we co-parent together. I don't know if that makes sense, but it does for us, because they have been with my stepmom since they were very little, because I left them so much because I was a terrible person. So I lost my job, and it was just me and Jeremy, and my brother and I broke up. Me and me and this guy were dating, and we broke up. And so um, there was nothing really here for me. And my brother invited me to go live in Alabama with them, and basically start over and be able to save money and have my own shit, because everything's more cheap. It's cheaper over there. So me and Jeremy decided to move to Alabama, and we were just going to try it out for a year or whatever and see what's up. And so when I got out of the relationship I was with, that man that I met at the church, he came back creeping around, and he had divorced his wife. She had cheated on him with his brother-in-law, I think. And so he came back around, and he was like, oh my God, now it's time for us to be together, basically. All of these years, I wasn't ready. I was this, I was that, blah, blah. Now we can be together. So my dumbass fucking was like, yep, this is what God wanted for me. He wanted you to be my husband this whole entire time. So he drives us to Alabama, me and Jeremy. We spent that whole time together. He stayed at my brother's house with me for a few days. We started having a relationship, a long distance relationship. Super super hardcore in love, like gonna get married. Like we've known each other for so long, and we're gonna get married, and this is what God wants for us, and all the shit, right? We're like planning a wedding and everything. And out of nowhere, this motherfucker gets engaged to some other girl while we're planning a wedding. And he just fucking broke my heart for the last time, honestly. It was like the end of it. I was like, I'm fucking done. I'm done. It hurt me so bad that I was like, because it went from one day, I love you, I love you, I love you, we're gonna get married, I can't wait to marry you, I can't wait to be your kid's stepdad, like I can't, like all of this shit, it was so real, and then the next day was gone. It was just so fucking weird, and it made me suicidal, honestly. It made me suicidal. It made me want to drive into another lane while I was driving to work every morning. Like, honestly, I was just done. The only reason I didn't was because of my children. um and I got to a really dark, ugly place and decided, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back where my friends are. I want to go back where the rest of my family is. I don't have enough support here. Like, this is not working. So we came back to California. Oh, bye, God girl. Love ya. Um, so we moved back to California and enter my husband. I hadn't seen him in years, right? Me and my best friend, I was living at my best friend's house for the time being until I got on my feet again and got an apartment. And we were at a Kevin Hart show, me and her. And me and my husband had beef before, like when we were not together, when we were just acquaintances or friends. Like, we had a full-blown beef. Like, I did not like him because he rejected me, and fuck that, nobody ever fucking does that. So I was fucking pissed at him, and I didn't like him, right? But I loved him at first. I was like, oh man, that's my type of guy, I want to be with him. But he rejected me, so it went from fucking love to hate real quick. But years later, after I moved back from Alabama, me and my best friend were at a Kevin Hart show, and we come home from the Kevin Hart show, and my husband is sitting there with my best friend's husband in the garage, and I seen him for the first time in years, and I was like, oh shit. And mind you, I was done with love and all that shit. I was honestly gonna be on a hoe time forever because I was done. I would like did not want to get in a serious relationship with anybody ever again. I was done. And he was done too. He just got out of a really bad relationship, heartbroken completely, and we both were in a really bad place when it came to love and relationships. But it just fucking happened. Like, we just clicked so fast, and he was so respectful. I mean, the first time that he asked me to do anything with him, he was like, "Do you want to go make out?" It was really cute. And we just became best friends, and we did not separate. Like, we were together every day, and it's been nothing but amazing since then. And we got married, and actually we tried to have kids before we got married. We tried a lot to get pregnant, and it didn't happen. And I thought maybe I was done having kids, or maybe I couldn't have kids anymore. And as soon as we got married, which we had the most amazing wedding day ever. It was like a fairy tale. There was nothing that I could change about it at all. It was just the most beautiful thing. And after we got married, we got pregnant immediately, like immediately. And we both just freaked out because we didn't think that that was going to happen. And it was a really hard pregnancy. Really fucking hard. I got through it, and they had scheduled me for a C-section, and we went in to get the C-section, and while they were operating on me, I kept asking, when are you going to get my husband? When is my husband going to come in here? When is my husband going to come in here? And they were like, oh yeah, as soon as we're going to about to pull the baby out, we'll bring him in. We'll bring him in. They kept saying that. And my husband, or my doctor, it was his birthday that day, And as soon as he said that, like, everybody went crazy in the room, like all the nurses and his little assistant and everybody. They were just like flirting with him and talking about how old he is and what he's going to do for his birthday. And they were just completely like distracted from what they were doing, that they forgot to call my husband in the room. So the baby was out already getting weighed. And I said, hey, is somebody going to call my husband? And they were like, oh shit, somebody call the husband. So they called in my husband. He was already born. Baby was already born. So he missed that. Oh, I was pissed, but whatever. We're just going to move along. And I remember them closing me up, and I was in so much pain after, and I didn't remember it being that much pain because I've had C-sections before. And so they kept giving me more meds, kept giving me more pain meds. I couldn't even nurse my child because I was in so much pain. We couldn't do the skin to skin or none of that. I was in so much pain. I was crying. Like, it was terrible. And I don't remember that ever being that way with any of my other kids. So I'm complaining to them, you know, this hurts, something's wrong. They keep telling me that it's gas, I'm constipated, blah, 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 blah. That's what happens when you have a baby after. There's all this shit. And especially if you have a C-section, you have like this area of gas in your belly that they leave there kind of, and it hurts. And I'm like, no, you're not understanding. I've had several kids and I've had several C-sections and I've had stomach problems my entire life. There's no way that this is because of gas and constipation. No. So they kept insisting though, and they kept acting like I was fucking crazy because I was in so much pain. And like 2 days go by, and on the second day, one of my doctors comes in and was like looking at his paper, and he's like, so we noticed that you have a bleed in your stomach. And I'm like, what? What a bleed? What are you talking about? So that's why my stomach was hurting, and it was filling up with blood over the span of 2 days. And I was damn near dead. I had to have how many blood transfusions?
6 pints.
6 pints of blood transfused because I had lost that much blood.
She almost died.
I almost died, and they were like, we have to take you to emergency surgery right now. So they took me, they knocked me out, and I thought for sure that I was not going to wake up. Like, I just thought, oh my God, this is it. Like, I've cheated death so many fucking times in my life in so many different situations that, like, okay, I had my baby, he's with his dad, and now I'm going to die because I just was so scared. So they put me under, and they fixed it or something. And I woke up fucking freaking out, like panicking. Sometimes that happens with anesthesia. I don't know. But, yeah, and my stomach was bigger than it was when I went in with a 9-month-old baby in it. It was that much. I lost that much blood.
Gas.
Yeah, they kept saying, it's just gas. They even forced me to do an enema where I had to lay on my stomach that was filling with blood. They forced me, basically, to do that. And then after that, when it didn't stop, they were like, okay, maybe something is wrong. Yeah, bitch, I think so.
And we've been telling them for the last 2 days.
Yeah, we had been telling them for the last 2 days, something is wrong, and they just kept looking at me like I was nuts.
Oh, I'm getting more frustrated.
And my husband was getting so freaking mad, and I had to tell him, like, you have to stop because they're going to kick you out. And this is right in the middle of the pandemic, guys. So I had no other visitors. Like, it was only me and my husband. My mom wasn't allowed to be there. My sister wasn't. Like, nobody else. Not my mother-in-law. So it was just me and him. I said, look, if they kick you out, I'm going to be here by myself. And they already done fucked up with me. So please don't leave me alone. So, yeah, that was like that experience of me almost dying fucking scared me and gave me such anxiety and such depression that I've never been the same since then. I have not been the same. I have had really bad anxiety, really bad depression. I've had to get on medication for both of those things since that happened. So it's been rough. It's been really rough. I have social anxiety really bad. It's really hard for me to make myself go to the hospital or to a doctor when I'm really, really sick or something. I usually don't because I don't trust them at all. They fucked us up really fucking bad. And they fucked up the whole birth of my child and the amazing child that he is and the baby, like how awesome that was supposed to be, that moment. They stole it from us, and it was, now I remember it as being like the scariest, worst time of my life instead of it being the happiest, which sucks. But that's pretty much it, y'all. I mean, that was 3 years ago, and me and my husband have been married now for 4 years.
4 years, been together for 5.
Been together for 5. And we've been
Known each other for
no,
almost
like 10, yeah. So we've been married for about 4 years. Um, our children are awesome. They all have amazing grades. Jeremy is almost a straight A student. Kingston is 3, and he is just the best thing ever. We have a really cute house in the country. We have a few businesses. We do music still sometimes. We are just living the dream, y'all. I mean, after the past and the story that we both have been through. I mean, my husband's story is even fucking crazier. Like, he's been through hell and back. I probably left a lot of stuff out, but that's pretty much the gist of it, y'all. But I've never been happier. I've never been more at peace in my relationship. I've never been more at peace with my children, and I I feel good about the mom that I am today. I'm not full of regret. I have let go of all of the regret because I love who I am today, and it has made me everything that I've been through, everything that I put myself through, all of the fucking mistakes that I've made have molded me and made me into who I am today, and I love my fucking self, and I think that I'm dope, and I know that I'm a good friend. I know I'm a good mom. I know I'm a good sister. I know I'm a good wife. I know that I'm a good person. And just because I've done fucked off shit doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. So I thank you all for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me rant. That's my story.
Thank you, Adizzle, for allowing me to have you up here to tell your story.
You're welcome. I just want to let everybody know it doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, how many mistakes you've made, where you've been, and how what you've done with your life. I don't care if you used to be a fucking prostitute, a drug dealer, a drug addict, a homeless person on the street. I don't care. None of that matters. But what matters is who you are today and how you treat people. That's how you
Absolutely.
measure who you are, is how you treat people and what kind of person you are.
I've always
Period.
said that. Like, I don't care what your past is.
No,
I
I
don't
don't give
care
a shit
about none of
about none of
that.
that. So
I,
now that I've basically blown the complete covers off of all my shit, y'all can come with whatever you want, motherfucker. Because ain't no way you're gonna shame me or embarrass me or any of that shit. I done told all my business, okay? So come with it.
uh, I mean, I asked you the other day if you wanted to tell your story, and you told me yeah, and I made sure everyone that she was okay with doing it before I asked her a few times, and she's like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm going to do it, and I thank you for doing so because
Welcome. It's not the
it
first
was.
time I've gone to like different NA things and shared my testimony and stuff. So I love it. I like if it helps anybody or makes them feel like they're not as bad as I was or whatever, or that they can get through anything you know, one thing that I really want to reiterate is that no man should ever put his fucking hands on you for shit. That is not love.
Mhm.
That is not love.
Yeah.
And no man should ever cheat on you or a woman. Don't accept that, you guys. That's not fucking real love at all.
Nope. Not at all. Damn it, Dizzle, we're all super proud of you.
Thank you.
We all love you. You know I love you. Thank
I love
you
you too.
for coming up here and telling your story on my platform. It means the world to me. And I hope if anybody else like wants a platform to speak their truth, their story to help cause, awareness or whatever, just hit me up. I'm trying to have a drama free channel, a judgment free channel. I just want to be, loved, respected, and have fun and laugh. Like, we don't need all this ugliness and hate going on. We just don't need it. It's not worth it.
No. There's so much hate in the world out there. Like, why do we need it in here too? I mean,
Exactly.
I just told y'all a fucking 4-hour story about all the bullshit that people have put me through in my life and have done to me. We don't need that in here too, guys.
Yep.
It's supposed to be an outlet for us to fucking come and have
Absolutely.
fun and build each other up and love on each other and encourage each other. It's not fucking be weirdos. Come on.
Yeah, I don't care what you've been through. Like I do care, but like I don't like you don't need. I'm not going to judge you on it. Like I don't care about what your people's past are and what gender they are, who they love. Like I don't
I have
believe in the real life shit.
I have 5 kids total. I have one stepson that is 18, and then I have my 4.
Just 700.
I know. I saw that. I just saw it right now, Laura. Get move over, T-shirt girl. There's a new one in town. Hey, there's enough room for both of us. Okay,
Yeah,
there's enough
yeah.
room for both of us. Dang, there were 78 people in here.
There was more than that
Dang.
at one point. I'm like 21, 22 subscribers away.
Yeah, I got 700 kids. Exactly. 700, and they're all amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It's awesome. I'm so proud of you, Adizzle. Oh, we lost her. Hold on. Let me put it back in case you or anybody want to come up and say anything. 21 to go. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. And the part one will be up tonight. There was something in there that was against TOS, so she will be going in and edit it for me, so I can post it again.
Yeah, I gotta edit that so I don't so Chili doesn't get in trouble. But I'm gonna edit it today and then we'll repost it so you guys can watch the first part if you didn't watch it.
Yeah.
That's cool, Laura. That's awesome. That's your lane. The candles are your lane, so do that shit. I'm sure it's gonna come out great. The stuff that you've already done so far, just your first time, came out better than our stuff for sure.
Wait,
So good
them
job.
candles that she makes are dope as fuck.
I know they are. I
Like
gotta
when
get
I
some.
saw the one she made for Navy vet for her birthday, I was like, oh shit, dude. They're really dope.
Thank you, Just Me Barbie D. Thank you. Look, I give all credit to God, and honestly, I wouldn't be an amazing young lady if I didn't go through all the shit that I went through. And you're right. I do think I'm amazing. And that's because I'm fucking alive and I survived and I still treat people with kindness and love. And until you fucking do me dirty or do my friends dirty, then it's on and cracking. But more than anything, if you guys have paid attention, I have given everybody a fair chance and I've treated everybody nice and with love in my heart. And so I think I'm amazing because the world hasn't hardened my heart.
Yeah,
And all the
absolutely.
shit that I went through didn't make me an ugly, disgusting person. It made me actually want to love and
Thank
give
you,
love
just me,
more.
Barbie D. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, so I do this coming weekend. I know I said that we were going to play a game to for someone to win winner chicken dinner, and things just got in the way. But I definitely will be doing it this weekend, and I am going to be doing it. And whoever wins will be able to get a shirt on me from Adizzle. And now that I'm thinking about it, the following weekend I can always do, if it's okay with Laura Perplex, I'm sure it will be because it makes her money. I can also do a candle, winning a candle on me for somebody. So
That sounds cool. That sounds. Yeah, bro, I texted you. Don't say that word in here. Retract that statement, bro. Yes, I
is that
texted you.
okay?
Did you
That's
get my
okay,
text?
Perplex. What I'm trying to do is like every weekend, like we can just play some fun games just to have fun. And the first time I did like cash apps and stuff. So this time I said that I would, the winner would be able to get a free T-shirt from Adizzle, and then the following weekend I could do the candle, and I will, of course, I will be the one to pay for it, whoever the winner is. So I did it twice before already, but other than that, yeah.
Oh wait, hold
Thanks
on.
again, Adizzle. I really appreciate you coming on my platform. Just saying yes to me meant a lot, and the fact that you were able to go through it, I knew some of your story. I didn't know it was that deep, and now that I do know, like, you are a very strong woman, and I am very, very proud of you. And don't ever think that I'm not, because I really am. You really are an amazing friend to me, and I'm glad that I got to know you. I really am.
Letting me share on here.
Absolutely.
Should I delete that too, Boo, so you cannot bring up raffle?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Shit.
She said, thank you, but now delete it. You can delete it.
I got it.
Hiya, Angel. How are you?
Think we're gonna get stuck again?
Someone asked about Navy Vet today, and I, didn't want to. I was muted, so I didn't want to talk while Adizzle was talking. But Navy Vet's not feeling well, so she called me about an hour before I came on, or maybe less of that, saying that she just has a really bad headache, and she said it's starting to hurt her neck. So she did take some medicine, and all her meds. She made sure she ate a little something, and she said she was just going to go to bed and lay down. It started last night, and it just hasn't went away. Started last night, and it.
Okay, I'm trying to find your link. Oh,
Hoping Navy Vet feels better. Yes, yes, absolutely. She says she gets them every once in a while, and sometimes they don't last long. Sometimes they do. Thank you. Because of your wife, it was an awesome live. This is the stuff that I want to do, and I want to spread a lot of awareness. I just want to be a
positive place.
positive place to come to. That's all.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all.
You are. You're doing it.
Do
And
live like
I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes along the way, and all I can do is learn from them. and trying not to make the same mistake over again. So
Alrighty. All right, I'm gonna hop off here, guys.
all
Love
right,
you. Thank you
yeah,
so much for
no
listening.
problem.
All right, bye bye.
Thank you, Dizzle. We love you. Thank you, everyone, for being here and listening to Adizzle's story. It really means a lot to me as well as it means a lot to her. And thank you for all the new people who came in and subscribed to me. I really, really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. It means the world to me, honestly. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for being so respectful in the chat. This is what I want. Hopefully, from this day forward, it can continue to be like this. I love all of you. Thank you so much for being here again. And have an amazing night. And I'll see y'all soon. Thanks, y'all. Peace.